everybody, welcome to another episode of Teaching Tuesday, Ups and Downs Edition. Sometimes when I pay with cash, I end up with a lot of change in my pocket. Sometimes it's a little, sometimes it stacks up, and at the end of the day what I'll tend to do is give Judah some change and put some change in Lola's bank just to give them a little something. Now it's not much, but it adds up, and they get pretty excited. And it got me thinking about investing and what we invest in. In fact, this past week, I ran into someone who I had actually forgotten. He was a teacher of mine in high school some 15 years ago. And he reminded me that he gave me money to go on a missions trip. I mean, this was years ago. I only had him for one class. We didn't have any special connection or anything. He just knew that I was going on a trip and wanted to help me out. And I had completely forgotten about it, but to him, he actually told me that he's been on my mind for the past almost 15 years because of that. And when he told me that, I felt like I had to share with him everything that God's been doing in my life, and I almost felt this responsibility, like, hey, your money wasn't worthless. It wasn't to no avail. And so I had told him that I ended up going to Bible college and getting a degree and became a teacher myself, and I almost felt a sense of pride to be able to tell him, hey, I didn't waste your investment. And it got me thinking about what we invest our money into. And I think a lot of times we get told that, right? We get told to make sure that we give our money to the poor, and we give our money to those in need and less fortunate than ourselves, which really there's always someone in more need than we are, right? Even if we don't have much to give. But I guess this week it kind of reminded me more of being the one invested in. And if someone's giving your money or their time or resources to you, what are we doing with that? Are we grateful? Are we thankful? Are we putting it to good use? I mean, there are people who get paid a ton of money to make choices about what stocks to put your money into, or when to buy, when to sell. And what if we were that cautious or that aware of people investing in us? And I tell you, when he told me that he did and I completely forgot, I felt so ashamed. I felt like, here's this guy who probably isn't making much to begin with, gives a check to a student he barely knows. Why didn't I remember that? That should have stuck with me. And so it got me really thinking, and I'll be honest, there's no way that we would be able to go through our day-to-day life as a family if it wasn't for the generosity of other people. And as I've gotten older, I've really started to appreciate and value what that means, and actually understand that it is a blessing to some people to give. I think sometimes we get too prideful to accept that, and I'm learning that it's a blessing to certain people. It's their gift to give, which is astounding to me in a very good way. Very humbling to see that. But what are we doing with that investment? Are we making good use of that investment? Are we really living the gospel out? If we have this opportunity, people are going to give us money, if they're going to give us opportunities, if they're going to give us their time, are we really putting that towards something beneficial? It reminded me of a passage in Matthew. It's about the gospel, so I don't want to take it too out of context, but it's this guy who finds a treasure in a field. I'll read it. You might be familiar with it. It says, "The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field. When a man found it, he hid it again, and then in his joy went and sold all he had and bought that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant looking for fine pearls. When he found one of great value, he went away and sold everything he had and bought it." So this is more of, when you find the gospel, what are you willing to give up so that it can be all yours, so that you can be all into the gospel? So you find this treasure in someone else's land, or just a vacant lot, but you have to buy it in order to get that treasure. so that you go home and you sell everything you have because you know everything you have is nothing compared to this great treasure. And there are people out there like that. There are people out there who are willing to sacrifice all they have to give to other people. And so today's teaching lesson is not so much about being the one to give, that's always a good thing to do, but it's about the receiving end of that. And so are we making choices that represent a good investment? Are we making friendships that reflect good investments? I mean, had I been sitting there with that teacher and he told me that he did that and I said, well, you know, I ended up doing this and falling away and blah, 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 blah. You know, I think I would have felt some sort of disappointment in myself. And not that I've made great choices all the way along, but it was nice being able to stand there and say, hey, I did do something with my life. And then on top of that, it got me thinking about standing before Jesus. When I'm no longer on this earth and I have to stand before my judge, and he tells me about all the opportunities that he invested in me and he gave me, what am I going to say? And that really got me thinking. Am I really going all out? Am I really making use of the gift that I've been given of eternal life? To be able to think like Christ and to be able to have the mind of Christ. Am I making use of that? When I stand there, or maybe even bow there before Jesus, am I going to be able to tell him that he made a good investment in me? That I did all that I could with the gift that he's given me? I don't know. If I were to give Judah a coin, quarter, penny, whatever it might be, and he just went to the toilet and flushed it down, I don't know how many coins I would give him after that. And yet Jesus, time after time, I feel like, just keeps giving me this gift every day of life, of family. And what am I making use of it? So I challenge you today, not only to be a giver, but also a worthy recipient of the gift. Thanks for watching. Make sure you give me a thumbs up if you like, share if you think someone could benefit from this, and I'd love to hear your comments below. I'll catch you guys later. Bye. I mean, if camera just fell. Pick it up.